Being a financial advisor and being in the financial planning realm, as you probably can imagine, when I'm at a holiday event, a family gathering, maybe a birthday party, or even just hanging out with some friends, one of the more common questions I get is, Logan, where should I put my money? Where should I be investing? And that is always an ever-changing answer. But the question, however, is typically the same, right? The one thing I always respond, which might be shocking to some of you, is there's typically only 4 areas to invest your money. Watching this video as we go over what those 4 are. Welcome to the Financial Beat YouTube channel. I'm Logan Sadler here, the host of the channel. And those of you that stop by every week to check us out, I appreciate it. And for those of you, this is your first time, again, appreciate you guys joining us here. So on today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, I always like to talk about, a lot of us can make our job seem rather difficult or stressful or very complex, right? And for some of us that are doctors, nurses, teachers, firemen, cops, whatever it is, engineers, we could all have some complexities to our jobs in different ways. And my job's no different, right? But when I really boil it down, it's very simple as far as where are some areas you can invest your money, or what are the more common areas? And the simple answer is typically there's only really 4 places to put your money. Now, each of those 4 places that I'll break down might have different components to it, but there's typically only 4 places where me or you or someone investing would put their money. Now, let's go ahead and break this down. Number 1 would be banking, right? Typically the banking world. So when you're investing money in the banking world, you're typically using a checking account, a savings account, money markets, or CDs, or very, very low risk investments, or some of them have no risk, but very, very low risk, and typically provide a lower rate of return. The reason why you would put money in banking is typically because of liquidity and low risk, right? So a lot of us are not trying to make crazy amounts of money on our money market accounts. We're looking for something consistent, something we know we can get to, something short term, right? So even a CD, you're going to tie it up for 1 year, maybe 2 years, and we know that it's coming due very soon. Nothing long term. And again, we know that that's going to be something that's lower risk and lower return. Right, so that's banking world. Number 2 would be the insurance world. Now, when you look at the insurance world, that could be many different components out there, but traditionally speaking, would be annuities, would be fixed index annuities, variable annuities, fixed annuities, and then you have a whole life insurance, index universal life insurance, long-term care policies, stuff like that, right? Which would be more longer-term investments. Those are things where typically you're putting money in there knowing that it's probably either lower risk or it has some guarantees to it. Maybe guarantees for income, maybe a guaranteed death benefit, maybe a guarantee for long-term care, right? So those are typically where you're looking at sectors that are, or investments in that sector that are typically longer-term investments. They might be 5, 10-year products, have surrender charges and things to them. They definitely can fit a financial plan, but we want to make sure we understand how those are in there and why you would invest in that world, and understanding the benefits that it could provide, but also understanding some of the drawbacks that might come up in the financial plan. So that'd be number 2. Number 3 would be Wall Street. So when you think of Wall Street, that could be a more common world that a lot of you might know of. And I think it's because a lot of us get our first taste of investing through a 401k, an IRA, maybe some type of employer-sponsored plan like a 403b or a 457, where we're now eligible to put money in the markets, right? In the Wall Street world, you have things like bonds, you have things like stocks, exchange-traded funds, a lot of different investments that are going to be invested in different market segments, right? Now, when you look at those segments, all of them could have different levels of risk or different levels of benefits or drawbacks, right? You have dividend-paying stocks, you have growth-oriented stocks, you have mutual funds or bond funds, target date funds. All of those types of things might be able to provide some different levels of benefit that could be, an increase in your financial plan in different areas. The one nice thing about the market sector, which is they're typically there to provide, growth, is long-term objective of those is typically growth, typically in bonds and stuff. You can get into maybe more for income purposes or principal preservation. But typically when you're investing there, you're looking for longer term results, but they might actually have some liquidity to them. So if you need to get access to money or want to make changes to those, sometimes you could do that rather quickly depending on exactly how you're invested. But I think it's very important when you're investing in those sectors to understand risk tolerance and the goals of maybe the individual funds or individual investments that you're using inside there. Then you have the 4th world, which would be real estate, right? So when you look at investments, real estate, just like the Wall Street world, there's probably some more common areas where some people might grow a lot of their wealth, mainly because that's where a lot of us might get started buying our first home, a rental property, maybe investment groups where we put in money together to buy homes and things like that. There could be a lot of different areas inside real estate that can provide a lot of upside. Typically, why you would invest in real estate is you're looking for maybe income, maybe growth over a period of time, and you're looking to maybe use some leverage or some debt to maybe borrow money to get maybe some better chance of returns longer term, right? So when you look at those 4 areas, they all have different pros, all have different cons, which I've done different videos on in the channel here, going over some of the pros and cons of each of those investments. But when you boil it down to, hey, Logan, I have X amount of money, or I'm looking to do this, you typically have those 4 areas to invest your money. Now, it's important that you're meeting with an advisor, or if you have an advisor, maybe contact them, making sure you understand how each of those worlds might pertain to you and which one of those would be better used depending on what situation you're in. So again, don't try to overcomplicate it, but understanding there's typically only 4 places to put your money, and understanding which one of those, or maybe even a combination of those, would be best used in your financial plan. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.